welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to be taking a look at the KV-5 tank that I have not spent any actual money on, but since it's in the press account, I thought I would give it a go. It's got a lot of hit points, about 1800. It weighs a lot, 100 tons. It's got a lot of engine horsepower as well. The thing actually can move a lot better than I anticipated. It will do 40, but only downhill. Traverse is pretty slow, but I actually found it didn't actually turn too badly because of however well it's balanced as far as terrain resistance and stuff goes. I don't know if those numbers are high or low, but I just didn't find it was actually too bad to turn. Armor-wise, you've got a lot of armor in the front, punctuated by this big R2-D2 radio station in the front. Now, when you're shooting at a KV-5, you probably end up shooting like here. This is the weak spot on the front of the tank. You don't really want to shoot too many other places. If you have a chance to shoot here, just shoot here. Otherwise, you've got cheeks you can kind of shoot at. If you're getting shot at by like a T-30, they will punch right through your cheeks anyway, especially if they're loading their prem rounds because they have 320 pen. So anything with that high of pen will just go right through the front of your tank like you have no armor anyway. So your armor really only is very good against Tier 6, Tier 7, and mostly, well, a good majority of Tier 8 tanks. Your solid armor is also pretty good. You got 150, 150, and even 140 in the back. But what I have found is there's a strip of armor along the back of the engine compartment here. It's easier to pen right along the top of here for whatever reason. I'm not sure why. And the sides are actually pretty hard to pen again still, especially if you angle like this. Another thing to take into account is if you can, turn your tank like this and then rotate the turret backwards so you can hide this weak spot. It's called reverse side scraping. It will save you a little bit of headaches sometimes with people just constantly shooting your weak spot. It's a lot harder to pen the KV-5 if you employ that sort of tactic, so keep that in mind. It sometimes works out really good. The gun is the same gun you get on the T150, which is a 107mm cannon with a rate of fire of 7, so you shoot every around 6 or 7 seconds. You've got 170 pen, 220 with APCR, 300 damage across the board. You've got fairly bad accuracy, kind of mostly bad aim time at 2.9. And the gun is okay. It's not great for a Tier 8 tank, but if you shoot at weak spots in the sides of certain tanks, you can do pretty well. If you're going to run into the front of an IS-3, you're probably going to want to run and click the number 2 button on your keyboard to get some APCR going, because you're going to have trouble penning certain heavy tanks at Tier 8 and 9 with this gun with 160 pen. It's just not going to happen very often. And yeah, everything else here is, I've chosen to take a heavy spall liner so I can soak up artillery hits. I've got vents and a vertical stabilizer, and of course my crew is all maxed out, and I took premium stuff for everything because I can. So we'll jump into a game and see how this thing goes. And here we are in Westfield. Tier 8 game. This tank has limited matchmaking, so you will only see Tier 9 tanks at worst. But a lot of those Tier 9 tanks can still wreck you pretty easy, even though your armor is really good. Another thing that's not too bad in the tank is the gun depression. I think it has -6 or 7. And you'll see from the position I go in, it's actually kind of usable. Another thing to take into account is because this thing weighs 100 tons, it's a primary, it's almost like you have to try and ram something with it. So we're going to try and do it in this game, and we'll see how it goes. So as a heavy tank, you don't want to do what our T29 is doing, like virtually ever. You don't ever want to do what M-Pierce 13 is doing. Bad. You don't take your heavy tank down into the valley. You take your heavy tank to town. See, even our IS-2 is like, wow, our T29 ran from the top. So climbing up here, you can see that no one's scouting, so decided to say, hey, you know what? Scout KV-5. Dun da da da. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Never hurts, right? At least we know where all the enemies are. And if any tank's going to be able to soak up some snapshot shots that aren't fully aimed, it's probably this one. And to my right, there's an FCM, and he's got the gun depression and penetration values to hit and get through this lion, and so do I. So 167 pen, more than enough to go through this lion. Gonna soak up a shot from that Black Prince because he's gonna have trouble penning me. I'm gonna concentrate on putting my rounds in the more dangerous tank, which is the lion. So we've got him down to 815. That's fantastic. Again, the Black Prince is having trouble penning me, so I'm just gonna keep rolling back and forth. And I have a heavy spall liner that, even though there's 3 artilleries on the enemy team, we'll see how much damage they actually inflict on me. Stop, and aim. Put one in the side of his turret. And this Black Prince is putting himself in a really dangerous place. So I'm going to make him pay for it as much as I can. And when I'm pushing over, I'm actually lighting up tanks as well, so that never hurts either. But unfortunately, guys are backing up. And the key with Westfield is to just be patient. They don't have too many tanks down in the town, so you can just kind of hang out. And this T-34, he actually had 12,000 games in that tank. That's a lot of games. That's more games than I have total played in an entire game. So I go up, risk a shot, get into the side of him, and I don't pay for it, which was nice. And I figure eventually someone will end up hitting me artillery-wise, but it didn't happen quite yet. And my platoon mate, Jester, he's in his 112, which is another tank I'll probably be showing here. I quite like the 112. It's a pretty decent little tank. So I'm just rolling up here, seeing what I can spot. Not really too keen on pushing over quite yet. Now looking to my right, Jester went into town to fight the ISU and some of the T-26 and the STA that were down there. But I'm going to stay here and I'm going to try and put some more shots into these guys. And all these guys put like some snapshot rounds right through the front of the tank, through the machine, or through the radar dude spot. They didn't kill him though. He's still alive, even though he took a round from a T-34. And that was the end of the T-34. So now it's really just a T-29. And I could see the F-Seam was going over top, and I was like, oh, okay, I gotta go over top too, but a little bit slow. So speed up slightly, and here we go. Now the plan is to shoot him as I go in, and then finish him off with the ram. So boom! I did track myself, but that was a lot of damage, and ended up doing almost 600 damage between the shot and the ram, and took him out. The turret's not the fastest thing in the world. It's like 18 for its reverse speed, and then I shrug off a shot from one of the artilleries. Not bad. And I'm going to roll around, see if I can help out Jester with this STA. So I'm going to stop, going to aim, put a shot into his side, and since the DPM of the tank isn't actually that bad, and you output 300 damage, stop, I'm going to aim, and didn't fully aim that shot, but it's still enough to take him out. So we're up to 2 kills, racked up some pretty good damage so far, and we're just going to see if we can spot any more tanks. Armor held up pretty good in this game. I did take some shots through some of the weak spots, but overall, generally worked pretty good. Spot on artillery. Try to fire on the move. Completely miss. Like 50 meters. He gets taken out, and then before I can shoot at this guy, I'm going to shoot him on the move. Yep. KV-5 is not exactly the sniping tank of choice. Now I was trying to look around to see if I could find where the last artillery was. I thought maybe he'd be back in here, and it was S51, so he could probably shotgun and kill me. But I was willing to take that chance. He ended up actually being up in the back corner. So overall, I think that KV-5 is it's an interesting tank. It's pretty fun, and I don't know if I'd spend the gratuitous amount of money that they ask for it whenever it does sometimes pop up into the premium shop. I can probably get my kicks by just driving the KV-4, and because I like the gun a lot better in the KV-4 than this thing. Plus, it doesn't have the really massive weak spot in the front. But this thing does, it's got some perks to it. It makes pretty good credits, and the armor does hold up pretty well. It does have that huge frontal weak spot, but generally, it's okay. It's not too bad. I'd say it actually is probably better than the WZ111. And that's going to conclude the quick look at the KV-5. Thanks for watching. See you guys later. And taking a look at the post-game results. We've got 95,000 credits earned. Not too bad. Actually quite a lot of spotting. Spotted 3 tanks popping over that hill. Second class mastery badge. Ended up getting 2 kills. 1,680 EXPs, which was good enough for tops on the team. 1,120 experience. Got hit 6 times. 3 non-penetrating hits, which was alright. And damage only blocked by armor was only 250, but we ended up doing 914 tracking and spotting damage.